Hi, this is Oodalali. This is my first video talking about what I've learned this year and showing some things that I found that I thought were interesting. I first started selling in the beginning of this year, 2021, after my sister in Arkansas was listing and selling and buying things, and it was interesting and I was bored, so I went to an estate sale and I found a few items. I think I paid $5 total for a few items. This is my sister's store. This is one of the items I got. It was just a really pretty teacup and saucer by a brand called Paragon, and I've since learned it's a good brand. There was a little, I don't know if it was a chip, just a little discoloration or something on the top rim of the cup, and I wasn't able to sell it for as much as I thought it was worth and as much as I'd seen them sell for. But at this point, I just wanted to move something, especially when it's that fragile. I didn't have any storage at the time either. This was another piece I got at the same estate sale. It's Royal Dalton figurine, and they do pretty well. I still have this one because there's too many on the market of this little river boy, but it's in great condition, so I'm just going to hold on to it for a little longer. This was the last piece I got at that estate sale, so I paid $5 total for these three items, and this one is probably the best one. It's a Herend made in Hungary, fine bone china trinket dish, and it's in great condition, which is rare. And they sell, I've seen them for $130, and I put mine lower at about $100, and it's been in somebody's cart like 5 times, and they haven't made a move. So I don't want to go too much lower than that because it's in great condition and it's a pretty piece. So right now it's in somebody's cart. That's what my listing looks like. And I went to an estate sale not too much farther from there, around Louisville, I believe, and I got these little trays. I couldn't find anything about these, where they were from, when they were from, but they have like colonial figures in them, and I just tried to clean them up a little bit, and I think I talked to an antique appraiser just through an email, and they couldn't identify it either. They just said it was probably early 1900s, and that I could probably get $100 for them. I had them listed for a while and ended up selling them for 40, and that was good enough. I didn't really want to hold on to them, but they were cool. Around this time, Texas experienced a freak winter storm, and we lost electricity and water for, I don't know, a few days, but it seemed like it was forever. But during that time, I made my first sale, of course, and it was these little picture frames. Picture frames have done really well, all kinds, and mostly the smaller sizes. And I think I paid like $1 for each of these, and I sold them for 20. But I made my own box out of some cardboard I had, and once the weather was like okay enough outside, my husband went and took them to the post office. So it was really nerve-wracking because I didn't want to get a bad review for my first sale. The next item I sold was another small picture frame. I think this was a Brighton brand, and it had Swarovski crystals in it. And at the time, I thought that made it like really expensive because Swarovski just sounds like it's really expensive. But I'm not very cultured. I don't have any jewelry myself. I'm very basic. So I thought it was going to sell for more. I think I sold it for $20, and I was still happy because I was like, hey, I only spent $3 on these picture frames and made a good profit, even though I was learning at the time how much shipping really cuts into your profit, because I decided to make my store free shipping overall in my Etsy shop, and so I have to account for that now because it's a big chunk. After the weather cleared up, my husband went with me to an estate sale, and I got this Fenton toothpick cup. It's carnival glass, and I felt really proud that I knew what that was, that I knew from looking at it before I saw the mark on the bottom that it was Fenton, and it's carnival glass, and it's popular. They're pretty common, but this still sold. I forgot what I sold it for, but it was enough to make a profit even after shipping. And after that, I started to look into auctions online because I just wasn't really finding a lot of estate sales to go to that were close to us. And that's when we started winning lots that had a lot of little items in it. And if you can get it for a low price, then the profit margin is really good. Although this item, this little celluloid rickshaw, it cost a lot to, well, not a lot, but it was a lot to ship in comparison to what I charged, so I think I broke even on that. But I got my first good review, so that was worth it for me. This was another item I won an auction that sold, and I think I made a little profit, but that was a lot to ship, and I was still learning. This item, or these two items, were like souvenirs from traveling, and it kind of got lost in the mail for a while. It didn't get scanned, and if you don't take it right up to the desk, or they don't scan it right away, then your buyer is wondering, why can't I track it? Where is it? And so I ended up refunding her, and she got it like the next day, and she's like, "No, you need to charge me again. You just started your business." And I just thought that was really nice, and she left a good review, so that's worth a lot these days. And the next estate sale we went to, I got these Portmeirion melamine trays. I just thought were so pretty. I just figured, hey, these trays are not fragile, so I don't have to worry about that with shipping. But it was also that long tray that made it so hard to find a box at the time that fit it well, and just that extra length changes your whole like shipping category, so it ended up being a lot to ship it, and it wasn't a good profit. I think it was around this time that my husband was starting to see that I was able to sell things pretty regularly, and he looked into getting a stamps.com membership. So that's what we have now. It's a good discount, but it's also just convenient to print off your labels and just take it to the post office. I did try to have the postal worker pick up my things, but it's gotten lost before or took forever to get scanned. So we live so close to one right now that I decided we'll just take them. So we pretty much go every day with a few packages. And I don't know if we build a house that we're trying to on a lot nearby, or it's not nearby, it's like 25 minutes away. We're not going to live close to a post office, so I'll probably have to set it up where it's like in the listings that I will be delivering on these days only. This is another auction find. It was in a bulk lot, and it's doll furniture. I wasn't really sure if I was going to list it because I don't know what it's from. It looks like it was handmade because it was made from like tin cans, but it did sell. I forgot what it sold for, but it was enough to be a profit. So if you see doll furniture, people like it. This was some corkboard placemats that I found at the thrift store that sold. Unfortunately, the profit was eaten into, not really because of the shipping, but because it was purchased through an Etsy ad. So that's another few dollars or whatever your price is added on to your fees. And I don't really know if that's worth it, but some of the ads bring people in, so I guess you have to take the good with the bad. This was also in the online auction with some other items, and it's a Royal Dalton figurine. This one did sell for $40. I had my daughter research all of everything about it, what year it was from, do the measurements, take some pictures and put it up, and look at what other people have sold it for, and it did sell. So I told them that I'd give them a percentage of that, my older two kids. And this was purchased at an estate sale. I think it was the last day, but they also just were pricing everything really low. They didn't know what things were crystal or not, so I didn't get any clear glass, but I liked the way this looked, and it was like $2. I researched it and found that it was a brand called Imperial, and it's actually antique. It was made in like the 1920s, I think. So I think I sold that for $50, which was a good profit, and it got there safely, so I didn't have to do any refunding. Now, with these live auctions, you can get kind of carried away when you really want something and somebody's bidding against you, and I think my husband is the one that really gets aggressive about it. But I liked this card set. It looks like a little library of games, and I think I spent $25 on it, and I sold it for a little less than that, and that's not including shipping, so that was not a good purchase. This cute little mosaic cat was not even in a picture in a lot that I won, so it was just a little surprise, and it was a Barcino cat. I couldn't sell it for the full price that I saw others selling for because it was missing a whisker, but it's really pretty, and the person that got it gave like a raving review about this was the best purchase their whole life, so that was nice. The next auction that I did had a lot of glass paperweights, and I had looked up some of them before the auction began, and I know this brand of crystal Lalique in France is really valuable, so we bid on this, but they in the listing they said they can't guarantee that it's Lalique because I couldn't find anything that said it, so it was just kind of a guess. I didn't spend a lot on it, but it came on this little dish, and it was like there was putty underneath to keep it in place. The dish does actually say Lalique France, but at the time I didn't see any writing on the paperweight itself, but I kind of listed it like it was, not expecting there to be like an issue where I had to defend it. But it sold probably a month later, and that's when I was like rushing to find out like if it really was Lalique. And I scrubbed it, and I was looking in the bathroom at it in the light, and I turned it just a certain angle, and you can see it was etched in there very lightly that it was Lalique, and I was so relieved. So shipped that out and was confident in that sale. This lot is a lot of many bags and purses at this really nice house, and I think my husband is the one that really wanted to bid on this, so he did. It was only $27 for all these bags, and some of them look like good brands, even though I'm pretty ignorant to them. So we just figured it was worth it. They look like they were in great condition, and it really has been a money maker for us. Let's see. What was the first brand we sold? I was a little hesitant to price the purses too high because I know how particular girls can be about things like that, if what condition it's in, whereas I just have like a fanny pack or a backpack because I'm just practical. So I got $40 for this really nice Fossil bag, and the girl that bought it was really happy with it. There was also this little belt that sold for, what, $10. This bag is called a Madewell bag, and that sold well too. And here's the fanny pack. I would have kept this if I could have worn it, but it didn't fit even with the adjusted belt. Some of these bags have sold. A couple of them we still have. And there was one bag that was totally brand new with the tag still, this Born brand, and I recently sold it for a little over $30 total. This one we just sold for $50. It's in great condition. It's made in Spain, and it's suede. So that lot made us a good chunk of money. I didn't calculate how much, but we also found $40 in one of the purses, so that just was like the cherry on top. This next auction that we went to was a really cool house, a really interesting family, and I mean, some of them became well known. I don't want to say who they are, but the house was just, it was a mess. It was like a hoarder's home that somebody had inherited from and just didn't take care of it, and it was just infested. But there was so much valuable stuff there that I wish I would have known to get more, but I didn't really know. We got some really good items there. We have this painting that is like 4 feet by 4 feet, Art Nouveau style, that we've been trying to get restretched and reframed for like 4 months now. This guy is just a flake that we hired to do it, and we came in to get it a few days ago. He told us it was ready, and he had only restretched it. There was no frame, and it doesn't fit in the frame it came in with, so now we have to pay for a frame when we thought that was already... We paid so much to this guy, but we have like 5 different things that he's doing, and he wanted to buy this painting from us because he liked it so much. But I think he's just trying to wear us out so that we say fine and forget it or something. I don't know. We're probably not going to go back to him again. These are some of the other items we got at that home. They had traveled, this family, and lived abroad many years, and they were artists and photographers, so they had a lot of really nice things, rare things, and we got some nice things. I think we could have got more, and John probably wanted to, but I'm cautious about it, especially when you're buying stuff on, just from seeing it online. But this framed sketch, I don't know why I wanted to get it. I just did, and it was a fun little treasure hunt to try to figure out who signed it, whose it was. I finally found it just by looking at the signature and trying to read it. It may look obvious now, but it's Michel Mort, and he was really well known in the French Academy. There's some kind of, I don't know, prestigious literary club that's been in existence since like the 1600s or something ridiculous, and there's only like a certain amount of chair people at any given time, like 30 something. So he was like the head of that group for a while and wrote a lot about American literature and taught here too. So he wasn't known for anything like a sketch or his art. So it's just a personal thing that he had, and I don't know how the family got it, but I did have it appraised online, and I think it's worth about $500, but we're not going to sell it. I think it's an interesting piece, and I did buy one of his books to try to read. What was it called? The something about the ocean. The I'll have to check back on that. I don't know. I didn't finish it because I don't have time to read it. So one of the lots that we won was to be able to search this whole room of an outbuilding on the property. We got it for $10 because it was just too much and really gross to go through for the estate sale people. So they just let people bid on the room itself. And I just figured based on the other things that this family had, it was worth it. But it was really cold. It had just snowed. There was no heat. And there was just mouse poop everywhere. So we didn't go through everything, but I did get some real treasure that I was happy with. It was worth the $10 for sure. We still have some things that I'm not really sure about, things that were like broken, like a marble clock that's really old, and some magazines and old paperwork. But this was an original painting by an artist named Jim Steinmeier, and we sold this for a couple $100. That was our first eBay sale because we started to look elsewhere because Etsy just has a different clientele. Like there's just things that do better on Etsy, things that do better on eBay. So we utilize both of them. And I know that there's like a million other ones now and these are like outdated. I'm really outdated, so I don't even know what Mercari is. I tried Poshmark, but it really just seemed like a social media thing where girls just liked the clothes that I put up there but didn't buy them. And I'm not on social media, so I'm not into that, and they take a bigger percentage. So right now, eBay and Etsy are good with me, and maybe I'll look into Amazon. I don't know, but I think they take a big chunk too. So I'll stick with these two. We found a few other prints and just interesting things, but the biggest score for me was right before we were about to leave. I looked in this drawer of the desk and it had a sketch pad, like a really huge one, and there were just some loose prints in there. I took some of them that were in good condition, and this one just looked really old. I didn't know what it was. We just packed a bunch of stuff in the car and left because it was freezing and it was dirty. This was a really fun little like treasure hunt again because I couldn't find anything that looked like it. And on the bottom right of this page, there looked to be the initials SG. So I was looking for an engraver that had those initials forever. And somehow I found a page that was similar to it. It was a different part of the world, but it was a similar border and everything. And I saw on the bottom was a page number, and it was like, I don't know, 70 something. And I was like, oh, this wasn't SG, it was 59. This is a page of a book. And so that was like really groundbreaking for me to discover late at night by myself. So this is a page from a book called Les Galeries Agréables du Monde. It's like, I think that a weak translation would be the Agreeable Gallery of the World. And it was made by a cartographer, Pieter van der Aa. He was Dutch and came from a family of cartographers and was very successful. And, you know, basically because I didn't have pictures at that time, he would go around the world making these images so people could see what it was like in these monumental places all over the world. And when I looked up this book on Wikipedia, it says there are said to have only been 100 copies ever made. And I don't know how that can even be confirmed. But I just think that's so amazing. And this was from the early 1700s, like 1728, I think, is when the book was published. And you can even see in the picture of this fountain, Latona fountain in France, that it was updated a few years after that. So this is before that. And I really like this piece. And when we took it to get professionally framed in Dallas by this man that collects a lot of engravings, even older than this, he was just saying how it doesn't really have any value anymore because nobody is interested in them right now. This generation doesn't care about old stuff like that, and I'm really interested in it, so we're holding on to this. This is the oldest thing right now we have in our collection, and it's really cool. I guess it's time to talk about another boo-boo that I made. I got a really cool coin bank lot. It had like 5 or 6 items, and I got it really affordably on an auction lot online. And this was an antique glass coin bank, Uncle Sam, and it actually has a lot more paint than the other one that I saw that was ever sold online. So I sold it for $150 total, and it has a tin top that's it was like kind of stuck, and there was a quarter in it, and I didn't think that was going to be a problem. I know it's stupid talking about it now, but I was also going out of town, and I had like another shipment I had to make for a really expensive thing, so I didn't put as much care into the packaging for this, and I shipped it out, and it broke. It didn't shatter, but it had a big crack, and the owner sent it back, and I had to refund them and pay for extra shipping to get it back, and he taped the quarter to the box in case I wanted the quarter, and I was like, yeah, I know, I should have taken this out. I really didn't think it was going to damage it like this, but it's old glass, and I didn't think to take it out. Anyway, I relisted it and disclosed that it was damaged, and it sold. I don't know how much, but it was probably more than I paid for the lot, so it was okay, but that was a stupid mistake. There were a lot of art pieces that we got and kept for ourselves that I didn't get pictures of for this video. I might do another video of the things that we're holding on to for sure as investments and for our kids to have, because we never actually cared about art and now we do. But the ship and nautical artwork does really well. People that like ship art always are looking to add to their collection. And this one was interesting. There's a lot by this artist, Ambrose, but this one was different than ones that I'd seen of his because it was an actual battle, and it had flags on the ships that allowed me to identify what battle it was and what countries were at war. It wasn't too bad to ship because it's small and it fit in one of the boxes I had. It was convenient and the buyer was happy. This was another exciting one in that estate auction that had the paperweights. This was a signed paperweight by an artist named Satava, who's known for making really nice artwork pieces with his glass. This is a really huge paperweight. It's like 7.5 inches, and it's a jellyfish, and he studied them in an aquarium, I think in California, for a long time before he actually made these, and it looks so realistic. It's amazing, and it was scary to handle because it's just a really nice piece of art. I think we paid $150 for it. There were a lot of bidders on it, and I didn't even know how big it was until we went and picked it up. So John really liked it, and I said, well, I looked up the worth point on these, and some of them can sell from like $400 to $700, and I said, well, we'll just price it really high so that if somebody really wants it, they'll have to really pay for it. So we sold it for $650, and it sold. There were watchers for a while, and it was really cool to look at under a black light too. So that was the one that I was really careful with when I shipped it. I definitely double boxed that and got a good review. Happy buyer in Washington. And then I started to buy certain things regularly at estate sales. I guess you could call it like a niche for our shops. And I really was looking for things that were good profit margin, obviously, and then easy to ship. And scarves definitely fit the bill. And the silk scarves have sold pretty well. These are some that have sold recently. Some of them don't have name brands on them. I just put that it's silk if I know that it is, or if it's not, then I just put that it's a nice scarf. I think it's silk. This was Neiman Marcus. This sold. I had my kids model them. I didn't have a brand on this one, and this one sold. Such an easy thing to ship. And they're fun to photograph because they're really colorful. This was a estate sale win, and it's Frederick Cooper lamp. It's a table. It's a lamp table. Table lamp. Pant legs. What are they? Tants? I get some tants. And we're probably going to keep this. I don't know. John was thinking about getting a crate and having it like a shipping cost estimated through UPS if we wanted to sell it, because I think it might sell, but I don't know, we might hold on to it for a while. I like it. These South American textiles, I had looked up before and I saw that they sell well, and there were a lot in this house, so we won this lot. I think we paid close to $40 for all of this, and we ended up dividing it into like 6 different lots, maybe 7, because there are several separate textiles and materials and sashes and belts that we sold separately. I just sold my 5th mola, and these are so easy to ship because it was just cloth material that's embroidered, and there were 40 a piece, so that's a huge profit, easy ship. So we try to keep an eye out for those because they're pretty easy to sell. Another thing we always pick up when we see them are these little bitters bottles, all different colors, regularly sell, easy to ship. Something I don't always find but look for because people always love seeing these under the black lights is uranium glass, Vaseline glass, and it's always in somebody's cart or somebody's bidding on it, so we look for that. We occasionally get linens and quilts, handmade quilts, because those are pretty good sellers. We don't always, because I don't really like the smell if it's been in somebody else's house sitting in my house, so we started to dry clean them, but it's really costly to do that, so we have to be kind of picky about it if we get them, but several of them have sold, and Afghans as well, and I liked this orange flower one, so we still have that one. Another category we dabble in sometimes is older books, but every time I look them up, it's always disappointing because there's so many available that are in better condition or it's been reprinted, so I don't buy too many of them, but this was an exception. I paid $18 for this book called The Etiquette of Today, which is kind of a lot, but I just knew that there was just something about this book that was rare and really interesting and would be appealing. There were a lot of images in it and engravings, and it's from the early 1900s. Basically, I called it like the Downton Abbey instructions for America, to learn how to have etiquette and the appropriate amount of time to wait after somebody's died, to ask somebody to lunch, and a lot of other things that we don't even care about anymore, but it was really fun to read. And it sold for $100. I haven't had a lot of luck with clothing. I've sold a few things, and like this apron, and my husband got this Samsonite old travel wardrobe bag, and it was a good profit. It was kind of awkward to ship. I had to use this like blue bubble wrap sticky thing, and it was convenient. This top sold after a while and decreasing in prices. This dress I got from the thrift store that was new with a tag, it's called Flying Tomato, that just sold. This little swim set just reminds me of like a, I don't know, 1960s Ken doll outfit. That sold. This top sold. And then there was a yard sale that I went to recently, and there was nothing of interest at the actual tables, but on the front lawn they had a bunch of these costumes laid out, and I was just kind of looking at them to see what sizes they were, and there wasn't any tag because they were custom made for this actress. So the lady came out and she was asking if I was interested in them in costumes, and I was like, oh, I didn't know that they were costumes. They're really cool clothes and there's no tags, but they're just so tiny because the waist was like not even going to fit around one of my thighs. But I wasn't going to wear it anyway, but I was trying to see what size it was. And she's like, well, I used to perform. I was in a few performances on, I don't know if it was Broadway. I don't know what she said. She was a stage performer in high school and college, and she was in a movie with James Garner. So we talked for a while, and she told me I can take it all for $5. So I was like, yeah, I think somebody will be interested in this. She's like, oh, you're trying to resell it? She's like, oh, well, I hope you make some money. So I took it to the dry cleaners and I listed them all. It was hard to, because some of them were so tiny they couldn't even fit on my mannequin. And they weren't always in the best of condition. They had some holes or loose stitches, so I didn't price them very high because I don't know if they could actually be worn as clothes. So I didn't want to market it as that. I just put it as costumes for stage performances. And these were like leftover pieces that had stains or like actual real damage. So I just put it all in one lot, and it sold for almost $30. So that was good enough. I made a profit on that $5, and this is probably the best clothing item that I've sold, and it was a quick turnaround. This was just a week ago at an estate sale. I saw this little antique little girl's dress. I didn't look at the tag or anything. I was just like, oh, this is like $10. I was getting a lot of other stuff in the house, so I just added that on. And I picked up a little pair of these kids' leather embroidered gloves. And I looked up the tag when I got home, and I was kind of disappointed because the tag looked like it wasn't as old as I thought. It was made to look like it was like, a Victorian era kid's dress, and it said Martha's Miniatures in these bright colors. So I looked up Martha's Miniatures, and I see all these fluffy, frilly dresses for like $130, $200, and I said, wow, that was a good buy. So I listed it with the gloves, even though the gloves had some damage, and there was like immediately so many watchers on eBay, and people put it in their cart on Etsy. And I know it's a dangerous thing to double list, but I look at it regularly enough to, delete it if it sells on one site, and so far it hasn't been a problem. And my husband has these notifications for Etsy right away, and I get notifications for eBay right away, so it's teamwork to get that coordinated. But it's sold for $200, and I don't know what the person is going to do with it because it's a size 8 for kids, and I don't know if somebody was buying it for their kid or they just collect them. I don't care. It was just an easy ship, and I paid $11 and they paid $200, so it was nice. I also got this purse in an online auction. It's a Mondalian, like flapper era 1920s purse, and it's all metal, like mesh, and it has this painted pattern on it. It's beautiful, and it was missing like one strand of the metal fringe on the bottom, but it still sold for $120. There were several people wanting it, so that was a great buy. Another fun thing that I started finding at sales and wherever I can, antique stores or online, are these cards, playing cards. This Congress brand is very popular for Pinochle or regular standard or bridge cards. If they're still sealed, obviously it's worth more. This pack is a defunct company, but it has the tax stamp on it still, which dates it to before, I believe, the 1950s when they stopped requiring that tax. And these Wacky Pack cards also sold. They're actually stickers. I vaguely remember those. It's kind of fun to look at. I have a lot of packs of cards that haven't sold yet, but it's such a small purchase. Like, you don't have to spend a lot on them, and they don't take a lot of space up, and they're so easy to ship that I'll always pick them up even if they don't sell. And if they don't sell and they aren't getting any play, I could put them in a junk drawer lot. So that's always a good thing to buy. I've had to be careful with the online auction sales because they're not always honest or thorough in the listings. And I was bidding on this set of, I think it was 7 or 8 Demi-Tasse Theodore Haviland Limoges, really expensive china. And this is a chocolate pot, and the lid for the pot didn't match, and several of the items were damaged, and that wasn't disclosed. So I had to shorten or make my lot that I had for sale smaller, but it still sold for $175. And I have the ones that are damaged in another lot, and people are watching that. So, and I disclosed that obviously. So that was still worth it to get, but you can't always trust these online images or the estate sales people, because it was obvious that the chocolate pot didn't go with the lid. So some of the people that I look to for advice when I'm looking to source for my shops are, I used to listen to Dr. Lori online, and sometimes I'll watch her videos, and I have used her for appraisals and stuff, but I think that she's kind of rude sometimes. She's just mean for no reason, and her videos can be really long. I know this is getting long too, but I like the Auction Professor. I think he gives really quick, concise, and accurate advice, and it seems like every time I hear him talk about something that I've never seen before, I will immediately see it somewhere else. So he had just been talking about tin types and daguerreotypes that I'd never heard of, and I was at an estate sale and saw this little family photo album from the 1800s, the late 1800s, and it had all these cabinet cards and tin types in it, and I said, we have to get this. And I forgot what we paid for it. I know it wasn't that much. I think it was like $25, and I said, this is going to be worth it. And then I was researching the family and how they were all connected, all these pictures, and they wrote in them like who was who, and it was all in Missouri, of course. That's where everything was at that time, it seems. And I didn't want to break up everything and just sell, individual pictures. So I said, well, I'll just put everything up for $200 and just see how it does. And if it doesn't sell, then I'll start breaking it off. So I just took all the photos out because they were kind of falling out of the pages anyway, but I included the album anyway because I don't know if somebody wants to keep it or wants to restore it. So as soon as I put this up, I had finished typing the listing and I was going to start my next one. I got the notification that somebody bought it. They didn't offer anything, they just wanted to take it for the price I put, and they requested that I be really careful with this specific image of the soldier, because it was Civil War era. And so I packaged that. I said, okay, I'm going to ship this via UPS because I think they'll be more careful with a higher price item. And it actually had a lot of issues because they delivered it to the wrong address, and his neighbor, whoever it was a rural area of Maine, so it was very far away actually, and this person that received it was expecting a package of photos from a family member in Texas, which is where I'm from, or where I am, and her sister was named Samantha, and that's my name. So it was just crazy that she was expecting her sister to send her pictures from Texas, and she got this package and she's like, what is this? But she was honest, and they figured it out. He got everything. His specific picture that he wanted was intact, so it was a good purchase. I was excited. This is some pottery from the Tonala village of Mexico, and this does well. This is some sandware, I think is what they call it. This was a beautiful vase in great condition. I didn't think it was going to sell well because there's a lot of them available, and John picked it up for $9 at an estate sale, and it sold for over $60, $70, so good job. I'm starting to have a collection of different tin. This is a coin bank. I've sold a few things. I sold this round Daher, Daher brand, a mid-century tinware brand. Sold these tobacco tins, even though there's a lot of them on the market, probably in better condition than mine. You never know who's going to see yours. This is a ribbon tin for a typewriter ribbon that sold recently. This was another tip from the Auction Professor to pick up these bisque figurines from like the 1930s or 1940s. They were made in Japan, and they're Native American figurines, and they had some caravans or a little teepee that came with them, and I split them up into groups of 3 or 4 and sold them for $35 to $40 each, and they're really easy to ship. And I think I had 12 groupings, and I've sold 9 of them, so that's like $300 profit. It's easy to ship, so that was great advice. I also watched him talk about antique eyeglasses, which I had never really seen anywhere, but I happened to see a lot of them, of a set, I think 5 sets of them in an online estate sale, so I purchased them, and some of them were in fact gold filled. The frames are written 12K gold filled, and I've sold these 3 pairs. I still have, I think, 2, and I found another pair that was only like $10 at the antique mall near here that's really expensive, so they just didn't care about those, but those are easy money because they're easy to ship, so that was fun. Another easy to ship, these maps, National Geographic, they're pretty common, but these were in good condition and cheap at an estate sale, and I got them. This is an aeronautical map from the 60s of San Diego. I also have one for Dallas that hasn't sold, but this San Diego one did sell. This was another boo-boo. There was this cool mid-century house outside of Dallas that we got a bunch of stuff at, and this was in a little kid's room that was all dirty, and this was dusty. It was really small, like 2.5 inches, and John and I both liked it, and I listed it for like $25, and I usually search these things or do a Google Lens, but I didn't before, and I paid the price because I did the Google Lens search the next day just out of curiosity because it sold that night. And it's worth $180 because it's Murano Millefiore. So I was kind of perturbed and wanted to just undo that transaction, but I know that's not ethical. But it was also frustrating because it was the first transaction that I had done where the buyer's payment didn't process right away. I don't know what payment she used, but it took like 2 days to process. So I was like, I can't do anything about this. I can't even cancel this. I just had to just let it go, you know. I mean, I didn't lose money. I didn't, you know, I still made a profit. It was just $180. This is another heron dish. This actually sold recently and matches this one. It's a little leaf trinket dish, but it's also heron made in Hungary with little butterflies, bugs, and birds. That sold. And then I just started experimenting with postcards because that auction professor, you know, talking about how that's a really good profit maker. And there was an estate sale shortly after I watched videos of his postcards that had 2 large boxes full of all kinds of postcards, used and unused from like the past 100 years. And it was $15 for both boxes, and some of them had really cool old stamps, so we picked them up. And I haven't even listed all of them because there's just too many. I'm trying to start with categorizing them, putting them in sleeves, and scanning them. I got a scanner because you have to have a good quality image for them to see not only the condition, but the details of some of these images and the real photo postcards and the embossed ones. So I've already made some profit on that more than paid off what I paid to get the 2 boxes. Like this set is from the Mexican Revolution in the early 1910s, and these are just cowboys and revolutionaries. I've seen some online that are really gory and terrible. These were not too bad. There was a barricade and some guys on some horses, and it was in Juarez, but it sold for $40. And these real photo ones are really where it's at. This was another set I put together. A couple of them are posted. This is a set of 3. The middle one wasn't posted, but it's an image of soldiers during a drill at Camp Bowie in Fort Worth, Texas. And this was World War I era. You can tell by their uniforms. And the other 2 were from a soldier in the 36th Infantry Division, which is what the pictures of, so I know that it's from probably the same person. And I sold that just recently for $50, so that was just 3 right there. And I don't put any tracking on them because I've researched what other people that sell postcards do, and most of them don't put any tracking. They say, I'm going to ship this first class unless you request it, and so that's what I did. Because putting tracking, it's going to require at least $3. But I think the auction professor does do the tracking, so I guess I could do that if I'm confident. Like, I'm just learning about what's going to sell regarding postcards, so if I get more confident that things are going to sell for a price, then I'll just factor in that price for tracking. These were interesting to find in an estate sale. I think we paid like, I don't know, $5 to $10 for these. John had found them, and they're really pretty coasters, but they're porcelain, and they have the original box, and it said Mythologia Fornacetti on it, and he didn't know anything about them. We just bought them, and I searched it when we got home, and some of them are worth, well, not some of them. These have sold, this set has sold for $1,200. So that was amazing to see. It's like a very, I guess, a limited edition that were made specifically for a department store in New York, and I forgot what the name was. But they're really well made. They have all the different like mythological figures on them, and they're in great condition with the original box. I have several watchers on it. I didn't price it that high because I just want to make a profit and sell them. I don't really want to keep them. But I have them at 450 or 400 right now, and there's I think 3 or 4 watchers, so we'll see what happens with that. So there is a summer slowdown in traffic to both Etsy and eBay, but I've still made a good amount of sales. But some of the tips that I followed from the Auction Professor and others online was to put some of the stuff that you buy in bulk at low prices that aren't really selling on their own into junk drawer lots. So I just started experimenting with that. I sold my first one and just shipped it out. And I think I kind of broke even if I really was meticulous with how much, because it's hard to calculate when you have, like 400 of something and you don't really know what you paid because you paid it with a bunch of other stuff. I was trying to be honest about it because I put, a few postcards, a few stamps, a few comics, a few stereo a few cards, and it's hard to really know what you paid. And the other thing is, if it wasn't going to sell on its own, I personally would rather move it because we don't have the storage room right now. So I may do a few more of those. I currently have some watchers on some clothing, and this dress on top there is really popular. It's handmade. I had it dry cleaned. It's gingham, and it's so small. There's no tag. It must have been custom made, but I couldn't fit it on my 11-year-old daughter or the mannequin. So I gave people the measurements, and I said, this is basically before you go through puberty, you can wear this. So there's 15 people watching it. Several people have asked me for like measurements, and I don't know what's going to happen with it, but I hope it'll sell. Some of these real photo postcards really sell well, and I couldn't find out anything about this one on the in the middle there. That's a fire. It's obviously an oil farm, and one of the tanks have caught on fire, and based on the stamp box design on the back, when I reference some sites that I go to, it's dated to the 1920s era. So I couldn't find anything about a tank exploding in that time period that would match that picture, but I just put what I could on the listing, and it already has somebody interested. And sometimes on these postcards, it doesn't matter that they're posted, and it may actually be helpful to the sale if it has an interesting stamp or message on it. Especially if there was some kind of like a natural disaster or some kind of notable event that happened in the photo. There was one that I have of a really bad flood in Missouri. I don't know if anybody's watching that anymore, but somebody was. It's pretty reliable. The real photo postcards will get attention. You can see here that the 2 lots that I have left of those Japanese-made bisque figurines always have watchers, at least 2 or 3 on all of them. So I've reduced these because I'm trying to just finish out those lots, and I charge shipping on eBay. So the pricing on Etsy is a little different since I don't charge shipping. Something that I thought would have done better that I've purchased on certain people's advice online was stone and glass fruit. Like these grapes, they're really cool, they're mid-century, but they're just not selling. They have watchers that just want the price to dwindle down, and I don't know how those are going to ship because you have to separate each grape somehow from hitting the other when it's shipping. So I don't really advise getting those unless you're going to keep them for yourself, which I kind of like them. It's just, they're just going to collect dust right now and be dangerous because I have 6 kids. I've also had watchers forever on this large silk unfinished project with these beautiful birds that are embroidered on them. I'm not like crafty with that kind of thing, and I really didn't want it to go to waste, so I purchased it for like $10 at an estate sale, hoping that somebody would want to do something with it, whether it was to frame it or make a robe, I don't know. But there's always been watchers, and nobody's just made the move yet. And then above that, they're included in those 2 bins of postcards that I bought was a scrapbook of postcards, and some of them are damaged, some of them have fallen out, the pages are very acid burned, because it's from like the late 1800s, early 1900s, and there's a lot of Victorian embossed cards in there. I couldn't really separate them from the pages, and some of them are torn off, so it's kind of an as-is thing. I mean, it is an as-is sale, but there's people that are interested in it. And two of these items here that are being watched are really old, antique Noritake lusterware, and this peanut dish that's really cool because it looks like a peanut. But I have a few antique Noritake pieces, and they don't ever sell. And I guess people just aren't interested in it right now, and I might just hold on to them. But I have yet to sell one Noritake piece, and I like all the ones that I have, so I don't want to reduce them too much. I might just store them away, and hopefully maybe someday I'll have an antique shop and sell it that way. I don't know. I did sell and ship out that Astro World dish right there. I didn't grow up in Texas, but it was a really happening place to be, an amusement park in Houston. So the commemorative souvenirs are pretty popular here. The other item there is a set of 1930s Indiana glass Art Deco coffee tea set. I like it a lot. The pattern is called Modern, and if we are able to build and have some kind of curio or display cabinet, I would like to get more pieces that match that, so I'm okay with that not selling. But if it does, for whatever, I have 180 right now on sale, then that's fine. I'd be happy with that. Hey, I thought I'd add on what I just purchased recently, and just to show you what I get, and hopefully we'll do an update with how we do, although some of it I want to keep. I got this lamp and a lamp that matches it that's also a table. It's much bigger, but I had to put it somewhere else so it wouldn't get damaged or hurt somebody, because this is called Toll and it's Italian. I think this one is mid-century, and it's metal formed flower figurine things on this lamp. There's a little metal piece here that says made in Italy, and it's a really old plug as well. This lampshade didn't come with it. It's called Artemis Studios, and those sell well by themselves too. This was bought at the home of the mom of a designer named John Chadwick, and I guess I haven't read anything about him really, but I was just told by the estate sale people that he was a pretty successful designer that worked on like the Trump Tower and certain hospitals and major buildings in Oklahoma and New York City. So he designed his mom's house. There was really cool wallpaper throughout all of it too. Anyway, that was the house I also got. I went last weekend as well. I got that dress that sold for $200 and some other neat things, but they had a last chance sale today to get rid of the last things, and these were priced at, I think the table lamp was $350. This lamp was I think $100 by itself, and I ended up getting them both for $90, and they both work. It was really hard to get into the Cadillac because John took my Suburban on their camping trip this weekend, but I did it and didn't damage anything. So I don't know if I want to keep this or try to ship it and sell it for whatever. I haven't researched it enough, and I kind of like them. And some of these other things I got at different estate sales. We'll just start over here. So I just got this radio. It's General Electric, and some electronics just sell well, and it was only, I don't even remember what I paid because it was discounted. Oh, it was not even $9, so this was worth it. I don't know if I'm going to sell it or keep it yet. This quilt, it's handmade. There are some loose stitches, but based on experience with selling them, people that buy them usually know how to fix them and like to do that. So I don't know if I'm going to have it dry clean because it does have a house smell. It's not like disgusting, but it's just a specific house smell. I got some prints. This is not in good condition, but it was a cute magazine. And I was watching The Auction Professor again, and he says that magazines don't have to be like complete and intact to sell. Like some people will just buy ads. So I haven't looked through this yet to see if there's anything interesting other than this cover, but I'm definitely going to try that. I got some other newspapers from 1923 and some other church chorus choir programs. I always get coasters, and these are not old. They are in really good condition though, and they're all like Route 66 classic cars, so I think that would be an easy sell, and they were $2. I got these 3 tins, these tea tins that are really pretty in an online auction. Pretty affordable, and I always like looking at the cigar boxes at estate sales, but I never really think they're gonna sell. But I got this one because it's a lot older than all the ones I've seen. The copyright on the design is 1891, and there's some like sheet music. This would cover the cigars. I think there's some cool stuff on the bottom. I don't know if this is like a tax stamp or just, I don't know anything about cigars, so I'm sure there's some specific name for the paperwork on the bottom. But I think this might sell, and it was worth, I think I paid $10. This, I just trained myself to just get Limoges whenever I see it for a good price, because it's a fancy porcelain or china that's specifically made in that area of France. And this is cobalt blue with this gold. I don't know if it's transferred or actually painted, but it's pretty easy to ship, good condition, so I got it. Some things I haven't listed yet because actually I haven't listed any of this yet, but I got this Peter Rabbit doll because a lot of people are interested in that Beatrix Potter stuff. I have a few things that are just always in people's carts, but they haven't been purchased. I've sold a few, but I think I'm going to do a lot with, you know, like 3 different items that are all Peter Rabbit. See if I can get some bidding in an auction. We picked up these, John and I picked up these really cool cards. This is that Congress brand, but it's even more fancy because it's a hard case. And I think he already counted all the cards. He's pretty good at that, counting cards. Actually, Lucas is, my son. This is Neiman Marcus. I don't know if it's Pinnacle or just standard playing decks, but some people just get the decks for these jokers because they like to frame them or do projects with them. These are always a good purchase because, like I said, they're not fragile, they're small and easy to ship, and a lot of people like them. So you may not make like a huge profit on one, but if you get 5 packs and you know you make $15 on each or whatever, it's good. I don't know what brand this is, but they are like Aztec design. There's 2 decks in there, and it's that velvety material. It doesn't say Congress, and it doesn't have gilt edge, so I don't know if it's just a wannabe Congress or what. And then this was just $1. There's a lot of this brand. This Braniff International was an airline, and we're close to the airport in Dallas. Close enough that there's a lot of pilots and people that work for the airlines that have a lot of card decks and other things with that brand on it. This was a carved box we got on an online auction. I don't know anything about it. It's really dirty. I haven't even attempted to clean it yet. But I mainly got this lot because, I don't know, it wasn't expensive and I liked this little metal compact. It's pewter. I don't know anything else about it yet. I had never seen one of these. It's a metal Oklahoma chauffeur's license. It just reminded me of like Downton Abbey. I like that show. And this is, you know, just a vintage tin for Bayer aspirin. A lot of these online, so I would probably put this in a lot, like a junk drawer lot. And even though I never really make a profit on books, sometimes I just get some. I think Care Bears is going to sell. I mean, this isn't really a long book or anything, but it's written in a little bit. That Auction Professor I think I already talked about this, but he has another channel called Art Professor, and he does projects with things that you can't sell because they're not in good condition or they're just not selling, like that have good images like this. He makes magnets out of them, and I tried it once. I like them for myself, but I don't think they're good enough quality to, like a clean enough edge to sell. So I did list them, but we'll see. I'll probably put them in a junk drawer a lot. I know this is not like a first edition or anything, but it was just pretty. Might put that in a junk drawer. I won these 2 books in an antiquarian book auction online. And there were a lot of books that I wanted, but they were getting bid up. And I don't know what made me pick these ones specifically to go for, but I only spent $10 total on these 2. So, and they're not real big and heavy, so that'll be easy to ship if I do sell them. But I just thought this was an interesting cover page. It's kind of funny. Just a fable for critics. I don't know what year it was. 1848. So, considering how old that is, it's pretty good to me. But like I said, every time you go online and search for something, somebody's gonna have it in better condition for like $2. So I'm setting myself up for that disappointment. This is the Sketchbook of Geoffrey Crayon by Washington Irving. It's not a first edition, but maybe I'll read it. I forgot. I think this was like in the 1920s. This print was made. I think that's what I read on the listing. Okay. I recognized this brand, Bellique, because my mom went with me to a few thrift stores a few months ago, and she got a little tray that matched this, and she knew what it was. So I knew to look for this, and I think this was pretty affordable the last sale we went to, but we got a discount on everything we put together because I asked, it was the first day, which I know they never do discounts then, but I wasn't going to be able to go back to Irving this weekend because John was going camping, so I kind of convinced him, hey, can you give us a deal? And he took $40 off, so we paid $200 for everything we got there, including this little bag of antique brass buttons. I don't know anything about these, but this excited me because that auction professor always sells really cool buttons for a good amount of money, even just single buttons. And it's probably because he lives close to the Northeast and he finds like Civil War era uniform buttons, but we'll see what we can find in there. I didn't get them all out, they're packed up, but I did get these 8 painted glass stemware, mid-century. I just liked that they're bright red, they're in good condition. There were 8 of them and they were $8 total, so that was a no-brainer. Here's another bitters bottle. It needs to be cleaned, but I don't have one like this or this shade, so I figured we'll add to that lot or put it in a junk drawer lot. This vase I also got at the designer's mom's house. And I did learn my lesson about Murano, and I searched it, and it did come up one that was really similar to this. It was maybe just a little bit smaller, and it was listed as Murano, and I forgot what the price was, but it was over $100, and I paid, I think, 20 something for this vase. It's pretty heavy, and I feel awkward picking it up by this lip here because I feel like it's gonna break, so I just put my finger inside to pick it up and move it, which I try not to do very often, but it's kind of that Millefiore style. It looks kind of sloppy, and there's air bubbles in there, so I really don't know if it is Murano, and I don't know if I'm gonna sell it as such, but maybe I'll just be honest and say that I think it is. I don't know. Maybe I'll be honest. I got another scarf, silk scarf by Liz Claiborne. Those are easy. And then they had some cool napkins. I've sold a set of napkins that were similar to that, and these are all embroidered. I didn't open them up because they were $1 for each thing. I just grabbed them and we had to get out of there, but I've made the mistake of not opening it up before and having stains on them, but I figure it was worth the risk. And there's another set of embroidered napkins. This just looks like a novelty, like gag gift, but it's not. It was a real thing, and maybe it would be useful. I don't know. But it has all the directions in it if you needed help to figure out what to do with the huge magnifying glass. This was at the designer's house. It's like a cabinet card, old print, old photo. It's pretty cute. And I've looked up this Byers Hotel and I can't find anything on it, and there's several cities named Byers. There was one, I think, in Illinois, and there's one in Colorado. I think this might be the one from Colorado, and I learned about the town and why they were named Byers after William Byers and all of his craziness. He started like a newspaper out there and really promoted Colorado as the place to be so that people from the east would move there, and it did work, but he became known for lying about how great an opportunity it was for like agriculture. And then he like sided with a terrible attack, slaughtering innocent men, women, and children that were Indians. And I think he defended it to his death, so it's kind of ugly. I got this almanac for the Santa Fe system from 1931, I think it is, yeah. And I think I'm going to put this in a lot with some like steam train postcards and some other train themed things I have. I have never done a train lot yet, but I know people collect that stuff, so I'm not worried about it. This was really cheap in auction online. I don't know who it is or what it is. I know it's not a print. It's like a pastel. And it's kind of cute. I don't know. Elmer 76, I think. These are little paintings. They're matching frames, mid-century for sure. And there's like a winter and another winter scene. And then a fall and a winter or fall scene. So it's not the four seasons, but they're pretty. I just liked them and the frames, and it was $14 for the pair. I did get some other books, an old Sears catalog. This is made to look, you know, older than it is. I think this is from like the 70s. This is a old book, kid's book. I forgot what year this was, but it's not in the best condition. 1933. I haven't looked that up yet. Oh. And we just grabbed a few odd things that were on this bookshelf, because I figured if I can't sell them as, you know, a whole magazine, this is from 1980, then I can make something out of them or find cool ads in them. Dr. Lori says to get art books because people that are into art are willing to pay a lot for them. She said something like that. Don't quote me, but these were $2, I think, at this last estate sale John and I went to, and has really cool pictures in it. I guess I'll just get it out. Yeah, let's not damage it. It's artsy. I can't hold this and do this. It's in good condition. Doesn't look like anybody really looked at it much. But it's interesting. And what is this? I think John picked this out. Or maybe I did. Pen, brush, and ink. Another art. Yeah, that looks interesting. This I think will sell, although the jacket is a little torn. Henry Pitts, 1949. So that would be interesting. This I got for myself. I just want to see what's in here and learn from it. Carnival glass. Buttons, cameras, canes, cats. Always sell cat stuff. Collectibles. Looks like we're in the... Oh, I guess this was a series. So it's alphabetical. We got B and C. That's good. That's fine with me. This is really heavy. I guess that's why I got it, because I don't really know what it is. It's called We Americans. I think it's from the 80s. Maybe my kids will like reading some of these articles in here. And what's left? This is an antique engraving. On the back it says some information about whoever did it in London and that it's an antiquarian print, real engraving. I don't know what that means, but it's cool. We got a bunch of these match boxes. I'm not into collecting any matches, but there were a few sets in here that just looked cool, and I might just put them in junk drawer lots. And they have colorful matches, so that's interesting. And the rest of these are probably just, we're gonna use them, you know, when our aim of flame runs out or something. I got this bag of old Christmas ornaments. I know it's not in there very well because it's just hitting each other and there's some fragile ones, so I need to take them out and look at what's in there. But Christmas isn't that far away. People start shopping now, and some of these vintage ornaments can be worth a lot. See you next time.